Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen Rx. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. And I don't know why I'm shaking. I don't actually think I'm physically shaking, but internally something in me is shaking. I don't know why. I don't know if it's I'm hungry, but I don't really feel hungry or what. But I'm shaking like a leaf. So that's interesting. Hopefully we're all good there, but thought I'd let you guys know. And I don't think it'll impede my ability to answer this question successfully. But if it does, I promise, then I owe you one. I owe you a rain check on my full cognitive ability being online to answer these questions. But, I thought today I would select a question that had to do with friendships because I haven't talked about friendships explicitly in a little while. And I feel like that's one of the heart and soul topics of this podcast. I think we're all out there being like, wait, hold on. What the fuck is going on? How do I make friends? How do I let go of friendships? What about friendship breakups? What about communication problems? What about jealousy? How about figuring out who I like and who I get along with? The difference between childhood friendships and friendships that you make as an adult. Just navigating relationships in general. I mean, relationships as an umbrella is the biggest topic ever probably. But I think at our heart, a lot of us that gravitate towards the Evergreen Rx and just to, I think, this kind of consuming this type of media in general, we got a lot of friendship questions and maybe things that we've bumped into or struggle with. And so I was like, let's go back to the roots. I love talking about this topic and I thought this question was really good in particular. And so let's dive back into it. And as always, if you have friendship questions, I'm sure there's a million things that I haven't even touched on or your specific situation. If you want to get me, send me a question that is specific. You're like, here's my story. Here's what I'm facing. Here are the texts that I don't know how to respond to. Do it. I'll answer it. Because I think that even when it's specific, it applies to all of us or a lot of us. And so feel free. If you're really facing a dilemma, think of this like Dear Abby. Give me your dilemma and I will help as best as I can. So yeah, you can always email me that at theevergreenrx@gmail.com or you can call me at 512-655-9888 and just spill your guts to me. Just kidding. You can get specific and we can go there. So, just so you know. Also, I'm drinking a Waterloo sparkling water. I think those are pretty national at this point. I think it started in Austin, but I believe most people can get Waterloo in the US. And if you can get your paws on one, I highly suggest. The strawberry flavor is one of my favorites, but I just opened an orange vanilla. Why have I not had that flavor before? I always see it in stores and I'm like, I don't know about that. It tastes like a creamsicle. It's so good. It's crazy. I'm freaking out. I literally took my first sip and I go, oh. So anyway, that's what I'm sipping on. What about you? All right, well, let's open the shop doors and let our little listener in to ask their friendship question. And as always, you guys know that my disclaimer, this isn't therapy. Even though I'm a therapist, this is not therapy. Legally, ethically, professionally. This is not therapy. This is also not how I do therapy. I want to do a whole episode on that one time because I see this podcast as an adjunct to whatever personal therapy you're doing because this is where I can teach skills and give more advice type things and answer questions more directly. But in my opinion, that's not what therapy is for. Maybe this piques your interest. Hayden, but what could therapy possibly be for if not those things? Girl, I can't even get into all of it right now. So if you want a whole episode on that, I will do it. But this is an adjunct. This is just to kind of get the gears turning and thinking about things maybe a little bit more deeply, more intentionally than we have before. But, I don't know everything. I don't try to pretend that I do. And so I really want you to feel like you have the flexibility to figure out what works best for you. Okay, all that said, I hear the door, and here's the question. It says, Dear Evergreen, I feel like I'm in this weird in-between place with my friendships. I have people in my life who've known me for years, some since high school, some from old jobs, but lately I've been noticing how different we've become. It's like there was a It's not like there was a fight or anything, and I still care about them deeply, but being around them leaves me feeling off. At the same time, I haven't exactly found a new group that feels like home either. I want friends that are deep, intentional, and where I don't feel like I am performing. But it's hard to find those in your 20s when everyone's so busy or settled already. How do you know when to let go of friendships that aren't quite working anymore? And how do you stay open to new ones when you're scared of being disappointed or feeling awkward all over again? I I always God, I love these questions. There's always so many layers to them. But I immediately jumps out at me. Here we are. The age-old question. How do you make friends in your 20s? And so when you guys find out, you can let me know. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I am going to answer the first part of this, and then I'll touch on that at the end. But the idea of like how to know when to let go of old friendships, or like when friendships maybe aren't working anymore, I think there's some real meat here, because that feeling of like things are kind of off, but like I don't know, we can have as many friends as we want. Should I keep spending time with these people? Should I not? Like, what does it really matter? But we all kind of experientially understand that it does matter, because it can be draining, or we feel like maybe we're trying to fit into an old box that we don't really fit into anymore. And that's not great. So I think this is a really important topic to kind of speak to. So I think something kind of baked into the pie on this is the idea of like how long relationships last. And I think that there is a perception that maybe relationships like shouldn't or don't come to an end when they're like healthy or loving or whatever. But actually, I think most of our relationships in our life have an end. I think it's actually the rare exception that you meet someone and you befriend them and you're really like close with them for your whole life. Maybe some of us, that's some family members. Some of us will maybe meet a partner and that person ends up being the one that we stick with for life. And we'll have some select friends that are really like ride or die and are around for the long haul. But I really think that's the exception. I mean, even with relationships, we might marry someone and then come to a point where the relationship is no longer for us, even if there's not bad blood. That happens all the time. That's the key here. We don't really know the relationships that are going to last forever, but we can at least know that not all of them, not a majority of them really will. So that means baked into the pie of having relationships and friendships is endings and transitions and really not being as close as you once were. And when I'm saying endings, I'm also kind of referring to like those people that if you ran into them at the grocery store or something, if they called you up like years from now, you would catch up and it's fine and it's nice, but they're not really a part of your life anymore. I kind of consider that in endings too. Work has had me thinking about this a lot lately because as therapists, we deal with endings in relationships a lot. Because sometimes we're ghosted or people put therapy on pause and then they never come back. And other times we do get lucky and we get to say goodbye. We get to have what's called a termination session. That's probably not as rare, especially these days, but we're dealing with endings in all these strange ways and from like a professional, very specific type of relationship. And I think it's like so interesting because through that relationship, sometimes I do get to have these goodbye moments with people where we say, hey, we've worked together for years and I care so much about you. And we've both impacted each other's lives. And there's been change and growth and evolution in the time that we've known each other. And now, like, for whatever reason, it's time to end. And we get to reflect and say, what has this been like? And what has this meant to you? And oh my God, do you remember when? And sometimes we really get to part with a lot of love and a lot of care and good feelings just because the nature of the relationship, it has to be so black and white because of that professional boundary. And I'm just like, how rare is that? Now Not only do people ghost in their normal life, but we can create conflict or push the relationship so much from what it once was that it's no longer enjoyable for people, for both parties or any party involved. We can kind of hold desperately on to what it once was, that we just kill whatever good feelings were ever there. And it's really unfortunate. And I think a lot of that comes out of the fact that we don't like to say goodbye. It's awkward. It can be uncomfortable. It can bring up really hard feelings and grief. It kind of calls us to reflect on the time that's passed and the way that we've changed. And sometimes that's really uncomfortable. And it also can bring up anxiety and bittersweet feelings. Like maybe one person is more ready to say goodbye than the other person. And so we just avoid it at all costs. And I think that's a shame, honestly. I think we're missing out on a lot. And, if you've been listening for a long time, you probably aren't so surprised that I'm taking this question this way, maybe taking it to a deeper level than you'd expect, or talking about the concept of saying goodbye. And some of y'all are not going to like that I'm taking it this way. I understand that, because what? I'm talking about maybe those old friends that you feel kind of off with and it's not working so much anymore. I'm basically saying, like, what would it be like to have a conversation with them? And that's going to get some of you to bristle. It's going to sound like I'm overthinking it, that's too weird. No one does that. That it would be seen as extra or over the top or potentially hurtful to that other person if they don't feel the same way. So I get it. I'm kind of asking a lot by saying, maybe consider this. Maybe consider that us, the people that are seeking more consciousness, more intentionality in our life, that maybe we can challenge the status quo and create a new expectation or normalize a new way of going about relationship endings. Because, chances are, if you're feeling off or feeling like maybe a relationship's run its course, the other person is probably feeling some of that too. There's exceptions to this, obviously, but I think it can be mutual, that there's this feeling like, ugh, we're just kind of like doing the drag of it. Like we're doing the play, we see each other. Maybe we always go to this one workout class together, or we've always hung out every Christmas break when this friend comes home from wherever they've moved off to, and we do the same things we did in high school or whatever. And so we're doing the performance of it. And if it's feeling stale to us, it probably is feeling a little bit stale to them. Even if it's not, we still have this cool opportunity to say goodbye or see you later in a more mature way, in a more gratifying way. Everybody likes to talk about closure. All you bitches out there are talking about closure. We never get closure, or everybody's going to therapy saying I never got closure with this relationship. And I'm not being flippant about that. Okay. It's real and it hurts, and it's really hard to move forward sometimes when we don't feel like we've gotten proper closure. But also, nobody wants to sit in the awkwardness of having a conversation. Nobody really wants to be in the mess of closure, of saying goodbye. So why are we surprised that we all avoid it? And sometimes we're on the kind of receiving end. And then sometimes we're on the other side and we're like, why didn't they say anything? Or I would have loved an opportunity to talk about this. And so, if you're going with me at this point, if you're like, okay, I get it. I think that this is valuable, or maybe I've been even feeling the drive to kind of level up the way that I engage in my relationships and really see them as this mutual thing and this agreement we've made with someone for a period of time, and maybe having more of a way to honor when it's time to transition out of them. If you're with me on it, imagine how wonderful some of these conversations can be. And I feel the necessity to put a caveat, okay, sometimes when there's a lot of harm, when there's pain, maybe when a conversation has been attempted and hasn't been received, or there's a lot of defensiveness or aggression, it's not always the most appropriate. It's not always the safest to have these conversations. But barring that and really focusing on this person's question, who's just kind of there's not been a fight. It's just feeling like we've run the course. Then imagining how awesome it can be to reflect on what the relationship was, what the friendship was with the other person that was there for it too. To get to sit together and say, oh my gosh, remember when? Oh, that was so nice. Or say, through knowing you, I have been changed for good. Wicked. And to just get to spend some time in that sweet, reflective space with the person who has the same memories that you do. You know, we do this more in relationships, romantic relationships. Sometimes in a breakup, you have an opportunity to like sit and cry with that person and think about all the life that you've shared and how beautiful it was and how much it changed the two of you. But to even extend this to friendships, which I think sometimes can be even more formative and transformative and impactful, to be able to sit there and make space for that is so special. Or to pull up photos and just get a little nostalgic with it for a second, not just in your own head, but with them. I mean, can you fathom it? Are there some people in your life that you can fathom doing this with, and how special it could be? You know, there's that saying that's so fucking cheesy, but it's like some people are either here for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Sure. Yeah, it's great because it is true. And so those people that are here for a reason or a season, maybe they taught you something. Maybe it was hard at times and the relationship could be a little contentious, but they really taught you a lot about yourself, or they pushed you to grow. That is so special. This is what it's like in the therapy office when somebody comes in for their termination session and you get to say, like, as a therapist, who we keep this more inside often because it's not about us, but we get that opportunity, that distinct time to say, hey, through working with you on this, I learned about myself. I grew because of you. You opened doors that I had not opened before. You impacted me. What a good feeling to know that we impact others in these meaningful ways. And in ways that we didn't even know if we didn't have the conversation about it. So you could say to a friend, maybe say to these friends, these people in your life that you've known forever, and some of them you're just kind of ready to release, you can say, you know, I've been noticing things feel off. Do you notice that too? I recognize we used to go out to bars all the time together, and I don't really do that anymore. So we don't share that big thing that we used to share, that thing that really pulled us together. Or we don't work at the same place anymore, and I know that was really such an anchor for us. Or I'm in this new all-consuming phase of my life, and I know I just don't have as much time for this friendship as I used to. And I wanted this to give us an opportunity to talk about it. You know, I'm shifting in all these ways, and it feels like it's pulling me in a different direction than you. Feels like maybe we're moving in different directions than each other. And I just wanted to say it and to put it out there and to tell you how much I love you and how much I value the friendship that we've had. And I don't know if I can carry it as much into this next phase. I don't know if I'm in that place anymore, but that doesn't mean I didn't completely appreciate you and value all the time that we have gotten to share. Again, some of you guys listening are going to be like, girl, you're dreaming. This is crazy. I would never do this. Never. But like, even just let yourself imagine doing it, okay? Even if you don't do it and you're just like, I'm just going to kind of slip away and ghost and not respond as much. That's fine. That's your prerogative. But just picture it. And even if this is just an exercise for yourself, I think it can be positive. You can journal about these things and reflect on what the relationship meant to you so that you can release it with better energy. You know, we can let things go with a more complete energy. And that does bring me back to the second part of the question, which is how do I stay open when I'm scared, you know, that I'm just going to be disappointed, or a relationship isn't going to last as long as I wanted, or it's awkward to get to know new people again and kind of start from scratch. What I really believe is that when you get to spend time in the love and the gratitude for the people that have been in your life, and for the role that they played in pivotal moments, then you can release the energy. You know, my mom has a metaphor that she likes to use for kind of like for this topic, basically, which is that you can only carry so many grocery bags in your arms, and you have to put one down to pick another one up. So I see that as like you're releasing this energy. You're saying goodbye to the things that are no longer serving you, and now you have space to pick something new up. You're bringing a new energy out into the world. You're saying, hello, I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for a new friendship to form in this season and phase of my life. And I can't wait to be influenced and shaped and molded and changed by it. And we can really say that with our whole chest when we have a gratitude for the friendships that we've outgrown. So that's my esoteric answer to the question on how to make friends in your 20s. But I think this is a big piece of it. And the more we can come to peace with the fluctuations of life and the fluctuations of relationships, and we don't grip so hard onto them or, you know, try to force puzzle pieces into places that they no longer fit, then we're coming with a really open energy that I think is really attractive to people and can help us gravitate towards and magnetize the people that we want in our life. So there you have it. I hope this was helpful. I'm always here for follow-up questions and thoughts. So follow me on TikTok or Instagram or wherever and reach out with what you think of this episode. And good luck to you. Good luck. If you have a conversation like this with a friend, please reach out to me and let me know how it went. Oh my God, I would love to hear. And until next time, take care.